What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Refinement channel. This is our daily mastermind on reselling. Today, we're going to try something different. We're going to talk about the best tip we have for resellers, and I'm going to go around the horn and ask people what their best tip is. So I think if you ask people that question, especially in our Facebook group, the answer will be list daily. But I want to be specific on how to do that. So how do you list daily? So I would say the number one reason people don't list, don't prep, don't photograph is just lack of preparation from the day before. If there's an extra step, like you have to go into your garage to do something and your garage is detached, that extra step is going to make it harder for you to do it. So you just make it easy for you to succeed by putting whatever you need to do. Like I remember back in the day, somebody told me to put the inventory right in the middle of the living room. And just so it's always staring at you in the face and just get it done. So just don't step over it. And you walk to the kitchen over and over again, just handle it. So I think
If
that
you make the pile big enough, maybe you'll trip over it every time you try to step over it. Then you have to list
that's right. So
it.
Isaiah, what's your best tip for resellers?
Well, the thing that's changed my life recently has been schedule. Like having a very, very consistent schedule. You want it so that every day looks very similar to the day before. And when your schedule is inconsistent, like in the sense of you're listing at 8 a.m., and then you're listing at 3 p.m., and then 1 a.m., you're going to get into a position in which you're not going to get your listings up. And it makes it way more difficult to list daily. I added a schedule from 8 to 2 every single day. And now I've been consistent for 7 days in a row, which I haven't done in uh looks like 9 months, 8 months. I haven't done it since December 20th through December 26th, 7 days in a row. I
I
can't hear
was
you, Chris.
I was actually gonna call people out this morning. I was gonna have this be a video where I call people out and say, when is your eBay schedule? Because if I ask you when are you working on eBay today and you don't have an answer, you're probably not going to work on eBay today. So it's like having that
It's
exact answer is so useful. So 8 to 2 is your schedule. That's powerful because then also your friends and family, they don't bother you during that time.
People used to call me, but it made me go, like, once I got the schedule, it was very easy to be like, hey, I'm working right now. I'll talk to you guys later. Like, we'll be good. But it's impressive to me that after adding a schedule, I've got so much more free time now. It's like way easier to do any other things. And since I do everything in the morning, I don't have to worry about being interrupted. Because like I feel like most of the weird things that happen in life that throw you off schedule happen like after 12 o'clock. After 12 p.m., it's like free for all. Anything can happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you take something really seriously, people don't bother you. I think this is a perfect example right now is if you guys are watching the Olympics. When you're trying to be an Olympic athlete, nobody texts you when you're at your like there's nobody bothering you. And for some reason, the Olympics make me cry whenever I watch somebody. It's amazing. So this is like the pinnacle of some kind of performance. Of I watched that lady win a gold medal in fencing. I've never watched fencing before. I watched her win the gold medal. Literally made me cry. I was like, that's amazing. Somebody took it all the way to the max of being the best at something. And it's just cool. And I think that distraction, if you're trying to be the best, usually you're not distracted. Be the best, being the best version of yourself takes your full energy. That's what I want for everyone in this group. Be the best version of yourself. Let's go with Gary. Gary, what's your best tip? What's helped you the most with reselling?
I'd say diving in head first. I see all the time people on these Facebook groups or social media groups, and they're just starting out. And they come and they say, "What should I buy? Is this worth anything? What are good brands?" You know, what are you going to do when you can't ask someone that? You really just have to dive in head first and just trial error. Of course, ask questions and get answers when you can, but nobody's going to know what's best for you, where you live, where your sourcing options, how far away the post office is, what shipping options you have. those kind of things. So people just delay things by asking questions or expecting others to give them the pathway. Where if you just dive in head first, sell the things you have and start to learn what you like, what you don't like, and what you can source, I feel like you get ahead way quicker than just relying on other resellers to give you, a plan on what to do.
I want to share something with you. I agree with that. I want to share something with you guys, which I thought was pretty interesting. Let me pull it up. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? This is the UK eBay. Okay. On eBay UK, for some reason, they have a seller center. We don't have this in the US, but you can toggle between private and business. So private would be you just selling stuff on your own, and business is like you want to be a business seller. But the only difference is, as a private seller, you sell things for fun and not to make a profit. And on the business side, you sell things for a profit, which is 99% of people watching this channel. You're selling things for a profit, not for fun. Like, you're not just selling because you love selling. You want to earn a profit. And it goes over, it's more, look, there's in the private, there's no information on what to do. You can do whatever you want. But in the business section, it's saying, know your customer, understand your sales, work on reaching more buyers, which is probably optimizing your listings, learning how to use promotions, maybe sell internationally if you're in the UK, get in line with retail standards. That's pretty cool. And it just shows you, like, when you're a business, there's all these different things you start thinking about the customer. That's actually number one. Know your customer. When you go deep into it, like Gary was saying, you start thinking about who is buying your stuff, and you think, the question that always comes up, which is what should I buy? Think about, what do people want? That's probably the top answer. Like me walking around looking for stuff in my house to list, I'm looking for things that have the highest demand. And I'm even intentionally not picking stuff like a cell phone or a computer mouse, because those would sell instantly. And then people would say, that's not fair. I don't have a mouse and I don't have a cell phone. I need the cell phone I have to list. So knowing your customer, thinking about what people want to buy is huge. And that happens when you become a business. And I think one thing that we always talk about tech and sports, he knows his customer more than anybody else in the group. He knows what they want to buy. He knows what words they use. He knows what colors, what patterns, everything. He knows his customer really well, and he delivers a lot. Robin?
I would say it's true that, yeah, I understand not wanting to start with a computer or a cell phone, but I also think that it's important for people who are just starting out to know that you can always replace your stuff. I started with nothing and I sold my iPod, and I liked my iPod, but I didn't need my iPod. It wasn't essential for my life, but I went from $0 to $67, and it sold instantly because it's not like my clothes that I would have to wait for. And so that meant that within 2 days, I had $67 to take to buy inventory. And yeah, I was out an iPod. And yeah, when I go to the gym now, I have to use my phone, and that's, big and heavy and not nice and small like my iPod, but stuff's replaceable. And so if you're trying to accelerate anything that's not nailed down, that's not essential to life, I think is fair game.
I think that's great. A great tip. You can sell your couch and sit on the floor. I used to say that. It just get going. And the comments section is really blowing my mind. People literally, a lot of people get all their supplies from the Dollar Tree. They recycle all the packages that they get. They dumpster dive for packing materials. They start with way less than you think. Tons of people are going to the library to use the internet. It just depends. And if you don't have any business background, this must seem very overwhelming. And I think, I have a sales background, so this doesn't seem that strange to me. It seems very A plus B. But let's go with Jen. Jen, what's your best tip? What's helped you the most?
Understanding what happens at a sales plateau when you get to a certain point and then something goes wrong and not getting discouraged. So I'll give you an example. Knowing where your stuff is. Rule number one, always know where you put your stuff, because you will want to quit this business faster than you can imagine if you can't find your stuff. It's just, you spend hours, you hate yourself, and then eventually I find it, but it's just exhausting. So know where you put your stuff. Check your items, be careful, take your time, like Tech says. Take your time when you list them and make sure everything's correct, the size is correct, and that the flaws are shown. And then third, when you do make a mistake, again, at those plateaus, just be super nice to yourself. I mean, I honestly have wanted to quit so many times over the last 2.5 years. I mean, so just those are my tips.
So why are you so hard on yourself?
Because I want my store to be awesome, and it is awesome, but I want to be one of those, I want to be like you guys when I grow up. I want to be an awesome seller. I want to be one of those people. Oh, she's so good. She's so good. Oh, look at her stuff. Her photos are great. Oh, she's such great customer service. I want to be that. I want to be that kind of seller. I mean, I love this business. I love selling anyway, but this is particularly fun. And I want to be the Olympian of sellers.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have the gold medalist in our group, so that's like cool. Looking at looking at what's possible. Elmer, you have some feedback?
Yeah, I was gonna say, advice for everybody is don't get attached to any of your products. Let go. If somebody sends you an offer and you can make a buck on it, let it go. For a couple of years, I was just waiting for somebody to give me what I was asking for. I would get offers and I would just say, no, I'm not going to let it go. But now my attitude is it's better to have $10 in your pocket than to have another piece of crap just sitting on the floor. So let it go. Don't get attached. Don't think that if you can get your money back in a little bit more, let it go. Get new product. Okay.
Yeah, that's also mathematically better if you can turn your inventory more often. And like if somebody in the chat put that I have the best model, or Tech has the best model of making $8 hundreds of times a day. Like if you have a smaller profit margin, you're probably going to sell items faster. So if you sell an item for $8 profit and reinvest it in 2 more items that are $4 and then reinvest that over and over again, you can make more money than waiting for $12 profit on that item and maybe waiting for a whole year to find the right customer, versus a lower price means a lot more customers can afford it. Let's go with Mindy. Mindy, what's helped you the most?
I think sort of knowing in my mind what's going to happen each day. So like tomorrow I've got a dentist appointment. I've got to get a crown on my tooth. So I've planned ahead so that I can list every day. So, and sometimes for some people that means writing it down on paper. I know my kids are at that age in their 20s that's just not something they do. Everything's in their phone. Doesn't really matter if the schedule's in your phone or if it's on whatever works, as long as something is there to keep you on task, because there is so many distractions. I put my phone on do not disturb when I'm working, because I don't want CNN and sports stuff just pops up continually. So it helps you stay focused if you can stay on task.
That makes sense. I had I chipped a tooth 2 weeks ago, and I spent 9 hours at the dentist the last 2 weeks. It is horrible. Yeah. I can't. It's like I luckily do not have to. I don't need a crown because it didn't chip close enough to the root.
Yeah, mine was cracked front to back.
Wow. Like that made me realize, like when I maybe 2 podcasts ago, I was thinking it's never going to get any easier. There's always something something that comes up. So do you just set it up when you work for yourself? Do you just say to yourself, okay, my max capacity, if nothing goes wrong, is 200. So my goal is 100 because there's always going to be something.
Well, that's why you do a couple extra listings each day or whatever it is, so that you can have your some listings ready to go in your draft bank for times when you can't. Like I know I'm going to come tomorrow, but I'm not going to be able to do my total, so I'm going to do extra today.
I agree with that. Having that draft bank is huge. For those of you that don't know what a draft bank is, that means you have drafts ready to launch. So here's an example. I don't want to launch 200 listings per day. I have 25,000 listings, but my draft bank has 1,100 listings that are ready to go. So in case, let's say today, I have my day-to-day, I don't have time to list, but I have listings ready to go. So I can open up these listings and go through and double check. Okay, are these the item specifics that I want? Is this correct? I don't know if this is a carrot style. I don't know why my lady put that. What is does carrot mean wide at the top, skinny at the bottom? I don't know if these are probably not carrot. Okay,
that would be taper.
Carrot.
Taper carrot?
I've never even heard of carrot before.
I haven't either. Tapered. That's what tapered.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. You heard it?
What would you guys say this style of pant is?
I'm reading on Google and it says, what are carrot pants? They're shaped like a carrot, wide at the top and tapered toward the bottom. But I've never seen that term.
I've seen it.
I've seen tapered.
I've seen tapered.
This is not tapered though. I'm gonna put jogger.
Are they elastic waist? Because that's what I think of a jogger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, okay. So I didn't have time to list today. So I have this set up. Boom. I still get my listing habit up every day because I have drafts. That's what a draft bank is. If you have a draft bank, it takes a lot of pressure off, but then you also have to get ahead of the game and list more than you need to list so that you have a backup, so that eBay thinks your store is active and they reward active stores. No one knows why, but you make more money if you list every day. Let's go, Thomas. How's it going in the UK?
Sorry, I was muted.
No
Can you hear
worries.
me okay?
You sound okay?
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for asking, Chris. My top tip would be to join this Facebook group and become a Patreon of this group, because if you do that, then you're going to have every question answered on the group. There's a friendly bunch of people that can give direction, and they don't beat around the bush. They tell you how it is, and that's the best thing I've done. And anyone watching this, that would be my top tip, would be just to join this Facebook group. Yeah.
I did not pay you to say that. But no, but here's the thing. That's been the biggest thing for me. Like Jen was saying before the call that I used to look super tired and I was doing a lot of stuff. Well, now I do a lot less things. That's really the main thing. That's why I'm less tired. That's why I'm more fit, because I have more time. I'm not doing so much stuff. I'm doing less stuff, just at a higher intensity.
For me, since being a part of this community and since being a part of this group, I have not had a negative day on eBay. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've always been in the green, and it's continually progressed. It's not been a rapid progression,
sure,
but I've had to work as well. I've had to take on the advice with regards to photos and having different procedures on my shipping, and the way I store my stock now, the way I do have my SKU system, my shipping, my photos, you know. But overall, it's every month is higher than the previous month. So, and that's down to this Patreon group and the support from everyone here. It's great that you do the YouTube free Wednesday video, but people that are committed to that, I think it's fantastic, but they're missing out on so much meat. Like there's so much meat throughout the week that they're missing out on. And I think like anyone who's serious about reselling then needs to join this group. Essentially, that's my top tip: join a group, because the rewards are far greater than what you spend and the sacrifices you make to join it. So yeah,
I appreciate that. Hold on. Naraki, do you have a question? No, he was on. Okay, let's go with Brian. Brian, good morning. Thank you for putting together the book club. I'm excited for Monday.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, by the way, guys, Monday we're doing our first book club. We're doing Atomic Habits by James Clear, first 7 chapters. If anybody wants to like lead the discussion on any of those chapters, just let me know in the Facebook group. My thought is it's going to be kind of like the way I used to teach was the Socratic philosophy, where it's question based. So annotate, jot down any questions that we can discuss. But anyway, like the top tip. Well, there's kind of 2 that come to mind. Like one is technical, and then one's more like philosophical. As far as the technical, it's niche down. Like before I joined the group, I was selling everything, and I was making good money, but I was all over the place, spending a lot of wasted time researching, having to get too many boxes. It was tiring, like you were talking about, Chris. But niching down to a couple of categories, you can really take the time to become an expert and to learn those. And like Tuck would say, maybe really focus on that, and you can dominate a couple of categories. Like I've noticed for me, I'm like today I had 2 or 3 multi-quantity orders going out because I've niched down to fewer categories. So on a very practical note, I would do that. And then on a more macro approach, to me, it's more of a mindset. Like I watched your video this morning, Chris, and all the negative comments. I think too many people focus for reasons why they can't do things. So mindset or psychology is really crucial. And like what Thomas was saying, about this group, and somebody posted this in the group yesterday about like how they've left all the other reselling groups except for ours. And I'm the same way, because our group, people are positive and helpful. And those other groups, when you look at them, people are just complaining and finding reasons, just complaining. So as far as mindset, it's you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. So if you're in this group of, I don't know, 800-900 people that are all positive, you're going to go far. And then last thing is like Warren Buffett, when they ask him his success, he learns, he reads daily. And I'm kind of tying that into the book club, like habits and reselling. Those 2 things go hand in hand. You don't have to really think about your schedule once you start to stack a bunch of positive habits, and it'll just lead you. That process will lead you to the success versus trying to worry about goals, because everybody, like the Olympics right now, everybody in there, their goal is to win a gold medal, but they're not all going to win the gold medal. It's the ones who really focus on the process more, that will lead you to your results. So
that is so important, because everybody has the same goal. Just having a goal of making X amount of money per week doesn't do anything really. It's okay, but it's like having the plan to make X amount per week and doing it is awesome, because all of the people at the Olympics know how many steps they need to take, what moves they need, what techniques they need in order to get gold. And whoever executes those the best wins. And everyone has the exact same goal, almost same goal. Every single Olympian's goal is gold. It's just who has the better process, and the process is all the same. They all have the exact same moves. Catherine?
Relating to what Brian said, regarding like negativity, you also have to stop and think. And I used to tell my students that when I was teaching, just think about what's getting in your way of being a good reader. I noticed that I was constantly almost sabotaging myself. If I had 20 items to list, I'd list 19 and then stop. I wouldn't list that last one. If I had a really profitable item and then some bread and butter items, I'd list all the bread and butter items and wouldn't list the really profitable one. It was like I was sabotaging my goals, and I had to stop and just think about why that was. And I realized that it wasn't because I was afraid of success. I was afraid of maintaining success. you can be successful 1 month, and then your family or even yourself might say, well, but that was just 1 month. Are you going to do this year after year after year, month after month?
Yeah. What have
And
you
so
done for
once
me
I got,
lately? Go ahead.
yes, once I got to the point of, you know, you can't sabotage yourself. You need to just focus on the goal, focus on the day, and it will happen. And the other piece of advice is just that you're going to hear a lot of different ways to do things, and they're all very similar, but there are some different tweaks. You have to do you have to do what works for your space and tweak it for yourself, because you can spend endless hours watching YouTube videos or listening to podcasts and try 100 different ways to do something, and then you're just wasting time.
That is so true. And I think that one of the questions I will ask on this call is, what is holding you back? And usually it's yourself, right? But what version of that is? Is it because you are afraid to commit to a high expectation? Like, if your goal is, you know that 10 items a day will make you successful, but then committing to that scares you because you have to do that every day. I totally get that. When you try to imagine you trying to be an Olympic athlete and you have to commit to it for a decade. You know, when Michael Phelps said that his schedule was the same for 13 years or something, it made me think of somebody else in this group who had the same schedule for 13 years. Not the same schedule, but that dedication to something for a decade. You're going to be in a good place if you can be committed for a decade. And this is the part that's even crazier. Success compounds. So it's even more overwhelming to be like the best, because there's pressure. And when, like, it starts to build. For example, if you're a great reseller and your friends know you're a great reseller, everybody starts giving you their stuff. Businesses want to work with you. You get lower fees. Everything starts to build. When you are a bad reseller, nobody wants to talk to you. The post office is afraid when you come in because you're not prepared. When you go to the thrift store, they hide all the good stuff. It's just like you want to be on the other side of the momentum. Momentum is very big. Got to get on the right side of momentum. Let's go with Spencer. Spencer, can you chat?
Hey, good morning. So the question is, what's the question?
Oh, the question is, what's one tip that's really helped you, or what's helping you get things done right now?
Okay, so I would say it's like more of like a business tip. It's like really do what you like love to do, or like if you're like, make sure you're doing what you love. Like, even though I'm selling women's clothing, I really love it, and I think that helps me like work hard every day. I'm not sure if that's because I'm working with my girlfriend. That's why. Maybe that's why I like doing the women's clothing. But really, I just think you should do what you like, or you're not going to do it for a long time. You're gonna burn out pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Getting other people on board helps a lot. It's huge. It's the opposite too. Imagine if you have a non-supportive partner that's always putting you down. Yeah. That makes it way harder, right? It's already hard. And then you have somebody telling you can't do it. Why are you so unorganized? How come you step all over the house? How come you're not working all day? How come every time I look at you, you're on your phone and you're not working? So, I mean, that can be totally crippling. So yeah, that's important to be on the right side of that. Deanna, what's working for you?
Well, I agree with everything everybody has said, for sure. Everybody's had, things that I've encountered and things that have worked for me. But some of the things that have really helped me are just some little things, like getting better lighting where I work. And like normally I would just change the light bulb when it dies, but I just went and got better bulbs, and it's just like, just has helped a lot. Let's see, I wrote some stuff down. Oh, I guess before I thought I wanted to make my store smaller just so it was easier to manage. And I would like to get rid of the things that aren't selling well, for sure. But what I learned from this is I really need to expand my store and get a larger store and not be afraid of that. So I have gone out and gotten more bookcases and storage things so that I can grow without just trying to shove things on the shelves that I have, because that's what was happening anyway. And I realized to sell, to sell more, I have to have more for sale. So, that's what a lot of the things that I've learned are just very obvious things that, everybody should know, but it just, I needed to be hit on the head several times. But, and I do agree with what Thomas said about joining this group. And what I'd say for people in the group is that I'm very shy, but I have had my camera on. I waited a few weeks after I joined to start turning it on. And when I participate and when I've said things I'm going to do on a camera, I actually have done them and made that improvement. So when I've said I'm struggling with something, I've gone back and been like, that is, to myself, like had my meeting with myself of, now I need to improve that, because it just saying it out loud just drives it home even more.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because if you are able to share what you're working on, your brain treats it differently than hiding it away in your, like if you came on the call and said, I'm struggling with my numbers, I really don't get it. And we could break it down literally to one number. But if you do, it is interesting because running a little bit of a larger store is easier. It doesn't sound easier because it sounds like more space, more things. Now, I'm not saying running a huge store. I'm saying a little bit bigger than what you're currently doing is usually easier. You've learned all this stuff from your previous experience. You have, and now when you have more sales, it kind of cures a lot of the problems. So if you have more sales coming in, that's a good problem to deal with things. And I think you're right. Overstuffing all of your materials really makes it difficult.
Oh yeah, it's just a bummer too, just to look at it and things like that. So that just freed up my brain of where do things go. So that's helped a lot.
Well, thank you.
And it is hard for me to share. So for people that are, find that think it's hard to share, it is very hard for me. I don't like to admit that I'm not doing something well. So even though, there's plenty of things I'm not doing well, but.
And plenty of things you're doing well too.
I have been working on that. That's a good hint too, is that, one thing I read is that you've got to treat things as if you are doing it well, and tell yourself all the good things you're doing instead of all the crap you're doing. Tell yourself the things you're doing well and what's working for you, and just build on that and keep going. Yeah.
If you were to ask, I'm going to call him Vianney next. If I were to ask everyone in this group, what are you doing well? Some people are so hard on themselves that they would say nothing. They would say that because they're like, nothing is perfect. My photos could be way better. My listing habit could be way better. I could source better items. I could sell, it's never ending. But think about, like, people always say, or maybe I'll ask people in the chat and ask people to put in I'm going to try and experiment with you guys. Put on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rate your eBay business? So let's
say one thing that just
go ahead.
On what Diana said. It's like, I still have days where I have a no sell day because my store's not huge, I haven't got that many units in my store, but I find like with the group, you're not the only one. If you're having struggles or you're going through a hard time with your store or you're stuck on something, there's always somebody in the group that has experienced it or gone through it, and it makes you feel like you're not on your own. Like, that's the most important bit of the group, I think. It's just that there's people there with so much experience, and they've gone through all of these struggles before, that it just gives you a bit of peace, I think. Well, for me, it does anyway. It gives me a bit of peace knowing that, well, it's okay because these guys have already gone through it. They've been through it. They've got through the other side. And it almost gives you a bit more determination, if anything, to kind of push through the trials, I think.
So one more thought, then we'll go to Vianney, which is, okay, some people are rating themselves 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, the question normally is, what would you do to get a higher number, right? You're a 5, what would you do to be a 6? That's a normal question. But that's the type A, hard on yourself, nothing is good enough mentality. So if you're a 6 and I ask the opposite question and I say, why Brian rates himself a 6. Let me try this on Brian. Brian, why are you a 6 and not a 5 or a 4?
Well, I guess because the lens I look through it is I can improve a whole lot more. Like it's a sliding scale. So,
But why are you a 6 and not a 3?
well, I think I was because I was a 3 previously, probably when I was a generalist doing everything. Like
Yep.
I was making money, so that was somewhat successful, but it wasn't optimized. Now I've kind of streamlined processes. I've grown, I've improved, but I still know that there's lots of room for improvement still.
So that's the answer I'm looking for. If you say, why are you not a lower number? You come up with the reason that you're doing better. So you came up with the reason that you're streamlining more, and that's why you're a 6 and not a 3 now, right? And I think that's the opposite, because of course there's room for improvement, but that's you beating yourself up every day. Because people watch my channel and they're like, it's exhausting improving every day. Can I regress one day? I'm tired of improving every day. I wake up and I fall asleep dead tired at the end of the day. But you can give yourself a break by just thinking about why you're not a lower number and see your progress. But let's go to Vianney. How do I pronounce your name?
Vianney, you got
Vianney.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's up?
Hi. I wanted to say, although I agree with Deanna about, doing certain upgrades like, buying bins for your storage system or boxes or lighting, I also think that holds you back as well. Like if you're waiting to get the proper inventory system, if you're waiting to get the new LED, newer lights that you see everybody use, in my experience, that also held me back. Like I thought that I needed all these expensive items to have proper photos or to make my inventory system look much better. So I think also at the beginning, just do it literally. Go ahead and try to list your items, because you're not going to know what works or what doesn't if you actually don't go through the process. I thought that I needed better lights than I already had, and it wasn't the lights. It was just I wasn't actually going through the motion of listing the items. I was procrastinating because I said I needed something else, and that could just keep on happening. It could be like a cycle. You're waiting to get something else, and you just don't go ahead and list your items.
I love it. Let's see. Brian says that trying to improve too much too fast is exhausting. That's true. Trying to improve 1% usually doesn't destroy you, but trying to change your photo background and increase your listing habit and add another sourcing trip every single week, that's exhausting. Eleanor?
Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, great. I know that this is, I promise I'm not trying to be funny. I pretend that tech is my boss.
Yeah.
And what excuse would I be able to give him that he would find acceptable? And usually not much. Honest to goodness, I took my sister last week to the hospital with a non-life-threatening emergency, but they wouldn't let me back, of course, because of COVID. So yeah. I drove to Goodwill. I bought a pile of shorts and a $2 white curtain panel, got back to the parking lot, threw it on the hood of my car, and took pictures. Because I don't respond well to people who have tantrums and gossip, but with tech, he's very kind of even.
Yep.
And he's just, this is the way it is. And that I respond well to that kind of management. And so I just pretend that if he were my boss, what would he say?
Most inspiring thing I've heard all week. Without a doubt. I would have gone to Goodwill and bought a pile of shorts and been like, well, crap, I don't have a white background or whatever. So I guess I'll draft these and go home and photograph them later. Duh, just get a white sheet. That's awesome.
Well, I went by Dollar Tree and I got a tape measure and a pair of scissors, and I just decided I was going to keep that little kit in my car. And, just in case.
Brilliant.
Well, I think that having tech as your boss is nice because he is very even keeled. So if you were to present the house is on fire situation to him, he would just calmly tell you what to do. So it's nice. Instead of, he wouldn't react. Like I might get triggered and say something that's based on emotion, but he doesn't base anything on emotion. He's like, what can you do if somebody, you have an extra hour, make the best of the hour. And I think that it's a really good idea to have a photo background in your car. I have a friend that works 9 to 5 at the Goodwill bins. He takes photographs there and lists there on his phone, and he's done at 5. Goes at 9, finds a few items the first half of the day, lists them, and then goes home. That's it. The only thing he does at home is shipping and customer service. He lists there at the Goodwill bins on the ground. So especially if you can do it outside in the parking lot in the shade, you're going to get great photos. And I like that concept of just confining eBay to whatever hours you want to pick. Who's on the Galaxy in their car? Do you guys want to chat? Maybe it's dangerous. What's up? What are you guys working on?
Well, we're on our way to get some books.
So this is Jim.
Oh, dang, the connection's not good. Go ahead.
Processing area.
Yeah.
Go up to the hill. The top of the hill is good. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
The top of the hill is better. Okay.
We're losing.
Gypsy had messaged you yesterday,
Yeah.
and so we have a lot of I can't make that go away. We have a lot of stuff ready to sell. I have my job is to list, and so I'm trying to get the motivation to get that done. We have plenty of items. I don't know. I think the best thing I've done so far was someone said earlier, identifying what your holdup is. And I was really afraid of shipping. I was really afraid that when I listed something that the shipping, if I did free shipping, it wouldn't be right. Or if I figured it wrong, they wouldn't pay enough shipping and I would be stuck with that. And so what I started doing is just packaging my item. As soon as I finished my listing, I would package my item, measure it, weigh it, and I would put a little sticker on the outside of the package that said exactly what it was. And of course, in my listing, put that. And then now when it took that fear away and made it easier. But now when I have a sale, I just go print the label, put it on the package, and I'm ready to go.
I love it. Yeah, that's a bit. I like that way of putting it. What's your holdup? And if you're afraid of shipping, that might be maybe people are afraid of having a big bank account, so they don't work very hard. Ultimately, that's too scary, having that burden of shepherding that money. Yeah, that's right. What's your holdup? It's got to be something mental. Because once you learn, actually, maybe it's not understanding. If you understood shipping, you would be less afraid of it. So maybe that comes from practicing, reading a little bit more about it. Let's go with JR. JR, what's up?
Hey, Chris. I just wanted to say that I wanted to echo some of the comments that Thomas and some others have made. I think personally, what's made a big difference for me is this group. There's no doubt about it. I've been doing eBay for a number of years, and this group has really made me think of a lot of my processes, a lot of the way that I'm actually doing things. And you specifically, Chris, you told me not too long ago that I basically need to examine my processes and eliminate whatever it is that is not necessary. And I'm telling you, every day that's in my mind, that resonates in my mind every single day. And it has really benefited me. Yesterday alone, I listed like 10 items in 30 minutes, which for me is pretty good. I used to not do 3 items in an hour. So I'm working my way to hopefully higher levels, much higher levels. And this group has just been a great benefit. I think there's something about human nature where we all need someone to talk to. We need to see people doing what we do. We need motivation. We need motivation by association. And I think that this group gives me that. even if I'm not physically seen on the group every day, I'm always listening and always monitoring. And you're always good about answering my questions when I have questions and things like that. And I just want you to know, I appreciate you. I appreciate this group, and I'm glad to be part of it.
I appreciate that. I think association is really important, because there are people who are lone wolves. I would say that Tech is a lone wolf, but he still thinks about association because he's trying to be the best of what? Of the association, of the resellers. So if you look at your, when you're looking at other people do things, that, we were really afraid when we started this group that it would create squirrel brain, because so many people are being successful in different ways. But it's had the opposite effect. People are looking at things and saying, okay, that person does it that way. Can I do something or not do something in my business to make it better? Not usually what it is. What you want to do is look at what other people are doing and then remove something from what you do, not add. I think that's pretty interesting, right? Watch what people are doing and then remove something that you do, because the best way is less steps than what we're doing now. Maybe everyone should pause the video and write that down. Just the best way is less than what you're doing right now. You have to go back and get rid of things that don't matter, and then till you're just left with the golden few things that you do. Jeff says it's 50% off for seniors. Since I'm not a senior, I always ask for the nice guy discount on Wednesdays. Sometimes they'll give it to me.
Can I just chime in with what has helped me? So I started this about 4 months ago, and the whole idea of increasing my business slowly. I did 1 a day for a week, then 2 a day. I'm up to about 15, but I've throttled back because I realized I grew a little too fast, and a lot of my item descriptions are wanky or wonky. Like, for example, I got this beautiful pair of blue Jumpman North Carolina shorts, and I just thought for sure that was one of my first items, and it just never sold. And then today, after being in Tech's call last night, I said, oh, let me label this as Nike shorts, gender, size, and then fill in anything else. And I'm hoping, I just relisted it, and I bet it sells in a few days. Thank you so much. I got to go thrift.
All right, good luck. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, building the right title is key. Eduardo, feedback?
Yeah. I was just going to say that one thing you just said is paramount, like removing steps from whatever you're doing now. That's one of the things that hit me a little bit ago, and it started, like I made a list of everything that I'm doing, and I started scratching up stuff. And as simple as it might seem, like, for example, one stupid thing I was doing, like, remember we still use sync frog. My goal is to, in the end, eliminate that. But right now it's too complicated for me to eliminate it. So that's the last one. But every time we listed something with pictures to a folder called, that was something just to keep images organized. And I was like, what's the objective of that? And that takes like 4 to 6 seconds every time, like while you look for the folder and then put the pictures in there. We just removed that.
Sorry, we lost you. Okay.
35 hours of work. It's like, it's huge, and it's just one little change. And we've done like 12 different small changes, and everything is just improvements. And there's just removing stuff that you already have, that you're already doing, and there's no real need for it, but that you thought because you're organized or because you're a whatever freak or whatever, you're trying to control something, and it's not necessary. So I just wanted to support that. I love that concept.
Thank you. Philip?
Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
I just wanted to share, I think like my biggest takeaway was just taking the emotion out of like running an eBay business. Like originally when I started eBay, it was kind of more like a hobby. And then once I made the transition from it being like a part-time job to like my full-time income, there was kind of like speed bumps along the way of like shifting my mindset, I guess, to looking at more like a business and less like a hobby. And like taking the emotion out of things. Like, I think when it was a hobby and like kind of growing towards a business, I would make like more emotional decisions. So like a return request would ruin my day. or if I saw somebody grab something that I knew was worth $100, like right in front of my face, it would ruin my day. Or no sales, then I'd be discouraged for the next day to list. So I feel like taking the emotion out of this stuff has been my biggest takeaway. Even like when I joined the group, like I think my 30-day total was like 6,000, and there wasn't really a lot of toy resellers. And then I saw everybody doing like 30, 40, 50,000 90-day totals, and it was kind of like discouraging at first. And even with like all the reselling influencers, it's kind of like, damn, am I even doing the right thing? But once you detach from that, you're like, at least for me, I was able to realize like, okay, everybody has their own steps, and like just because it's working for somebody else, I don't need to go try all of these other things. And so I think taking the emotion out of it was like my biggest help.
That is something that I think everyone needs to worry about. I mean, think about, which is just look at it as what it is, and then not more than what it is. But it's hard because if you're starting and you're listing every day and you don't see your sales go up right away, or you're working more hours than you ever have before, but you don't see your business moving, it can get emotional. But it does work. After eBay is one of the businesses that is linear. If you work more, you should earn more. And if you get faster, then you can do more in the same amount of time. The do 7 days of work in 5 days and take the weekends off, that's the most common. That's, people really want that. I want to stress that the better you get at eBay, you can do it in less time and get done and do something. If you want to do something else, you need to get faster at eBay.
I was just about to say that, Chris. I was about to say that like working more on eBay doesn't necessarily mean working all day on eBay. Like they're not the same thing. Like you don't have to work all day in order to be more successful at this. And that's something that you've been preaching a lot lately, and that's very true.
Yeah, you don't. You just have to you don't have to work all day. You just have to. Okay, but this is another thing that is important. You still have to do X amount of work. So if you do it, it's like there's no really. It's really difficult to like eliminate steps, but it's hard. It's hard for me to articulate this. It's like just because you're better at reselling doesn't mean you don't have to list today. Is what I'm trying to say. You got to do a little bit. You got to work a little bit every single day. And it shouldn't be so bad. If you kind of understand, if you're afraid of it, it's going to suck. You're going to be really, really, really not motivated and emotional. Like you don't know how to ship something and then you're like, I don't even want to sell it. Maybe you purposely sabotage yourself and list it incorrectly so it never sells because you don't want to ship it. Like you just bought a pair of skis for $1 and the sold show $90. And you're like, oh, if I could just sell these for $90, even if shipping is hard, I'll figure it out. But then maybe you leave out something and it never sells just so you don't have to deal with it. It's weird. A lot of this is mental. But everyone have an awesome day. Focus on a couple things that you're doing and remove one of the steps ideally. And we'll see you guys next time.
Chris.
Yep.
What part of Northern California are you at?
I'm in Oakland.
Okay, I'll be in San Jose tonight.
Okay. I was in San Jose yesterday. Today is too crazy, but normally I might try and come and say hi.
Yeah, no, I'm picking up at an auction tomorrow, so I'm driving up from LA.
All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna do more meetups as COVID starts to die down. One of my workers got not one of my workers' friends got COVID, so it's like interesting because everyone's vaccinated here, but everyone's getting it like at a higher rate, which is interesting.